Bonjour.
Hello, I'm Grégory Desmurs. I'm a sound designer on DOFUS. Basically, my job is to create a game sound from A to Z. From the gameplay, firstly, the universe, the artistic direction, rather important technical constraints, which are always quite complex, and to handle things so that at the end we have a game sound with ambiances, music, special effects, which come together to immerse us completely in the world of DOFUS as it happens. So, as it's very complicated and there are many things to see, we're going to focus on what I'm doing now, which are the fatal blows. So, fatal blows, as you know, are these animations at the end of fights which consist of casting super effects when you attack for the last time to finish off enemies. So we're going to focus on Grougaloragran's fatal blow, which you can see here. Grougaloragran is a dragon taken from the WAKFU series. So actually, when I received the animations, here we are. There's no sound, there's nothing. I received just the animation, it's superb, no problem there, there are effects, it flows well. Now I have to make it so at the end there's sound alongside it in-game. So it starts with creating the sound itself. How do I do that? Basically, I look at what inspires me for a start. Here we can see a great fireball, which is something very powerful. There are things like that which seem to be pulled toward Grougaloragran, who is breathing fire, from what I can see. So I start with that, and then I wonder how I could best integrate that into the sounds already in-game. Because we need to create some kind of consistency. There are three main types of sounds that we use. There are synth sounds, which as the name suggests are synthesized.
Du synthé.
There are recorded sounds, which we record ourselves. And sound banks that we use but online. Because there are people whose job is to record sounds and to sell them to other people. Typically, when I need a sound of a building collapsing, I sadly don't have the means to make a building collapse, so I buy sounds recorded by people who have had the opportunity to record a building collapsing. For Grougaloragran, I used a little bit of all three. I started with a synth sound, because typically in nature fireball spells don't exist, in principle. So we take something which is not natural, which is synthetic. So it's going to consist of a bit of a musical keyboard sound, which will really give it a magical, supernatural aspect. Then I used some sounds recordings that we made, so typically there are fireballs in it. There are sounds of rock scrapings across the ground to give a very guttural dragon cry. Here, the video shows the gravel recording session, but sadly we couldn't shoot when we were moving the rocks. Now let's address the sound creation a little more in detail. Here, I start by using a synthesizer with a slightly percussive sound and an arpeggiator. I make the same harmony across several octaves to give a little depth. Then I invert the track so that once reversed, the percussion creates an inhaling effect. Now I'm going to search my sound banks for the recording of gravels, which we gently dropped on the ground, which I'm also going to invert, developing the sound which we just made. Here I'm trying to select the sounds that seems more suitable. I finally selected two of them, which I now need to invert and place to create the same inhaling effect as with the synthesizers. Then I'll go and look for the moving rock sounds to create a sonorous side of the dragon's voice. This one doesn't seem bad, so I'll put it in the right place, I'll lower its pitch a little. Now I'm going to take a walrus cry sound, because choruses have a very loud voice. I place it and really lower its pitch, making the cry really heavy. Let's listen again to see how it is. Good. So now I need a little explosion sound for when the dragon appears. I'll cut the start because I don't really need the explosion itself, just more of the extras. I'll add a fireball, which we create the same way as in the earlier extract by passing a burning object in front of a microphone. Here it's the same, I select big explosions for the fireball. Now I place them, and here I'll create what's called a volume automation. In other words, I create a curve that changes the sound's volume in real time. Both at the same time. There, that's not bad. Now we have to deal with when Grougaloragran disappears. So I select wind sounds I created using a synthesizer. I look for the exact place to put my sound. There we go. I'll shorten it a little and create a start and finish curve. Now I'll create a filter to put on my rock sound because I find it a little too high pitched and a little too deep. That's not bad.
Voilà.
Then, once that's finished, there are still 2 or 3 steps which are a bit complicated. I won't go into too much detail because it will take too long, but basically I need to integrate sounds, mix them, debug them, integrate the ambiances, the music, make everything coherent and make sure that you end up with what you hear when you play. Well, I'll explain a little anyway. So, in my different tools, I start by looking for the information I need to create the assets, in particular the animation name, in which file it's found, which category it belongs to, etc, etc. Then I create a unique digital ID using a predefined nomenclature which will serve as an in-game reference point for my asset. I'll apply a whole bunch of parameters such as volume, the start time relative to the start of the animation, the distance from which can be heard, its location and all that. I enter all of these details into a database which will be scanned by the game each time a sound might be called up to see whether to play it or not. I compile my database and I compress the sounds created before converting them into a special format using a method which has been coded internally by Potch. When compiling, a table of links between the animations and sounds is created and the sounds are automatically put into files which can be read only by the DOFUS client. Once I verified that the sound has been properly converted and that there are no bugs so far, I run the client in order to test it. A lot of elements are missing here, such as the character animation, effect, voices, etc., but it gives an idea of the final result.
Voilà, bah merci
There we are. Thank you for watching and see you soon.